Jack, what the hell? Why no monk mode? You're into self-improvement. This is like the mecca of self-improvement. You couldn't disagree with monk mode. Well, I can, and I will, because I don't believe not only has monk mode not helped me, but if I had continued on monk mode, my life would be boring, I'd be broke, and I'd be invisible. Now, there are elements of monk mode that we can keep, but there are certain elements that we absolutely have to get rid of. And once you watch this video, you'll understand why. I'm going to give you a better way to live, because monk mode doesn't take into consideration one very important part of success. And it actually holds a lot of young guys back, this monk mode way of life. Now, I'm not saying discipline's bad. I preach discipline all the time. But there's a certain way we have to do it. We have to leave space for the magic of life, because through monk mode, young men remove the thing. Young men that do monk mode, or any man that does monk mode, if he does it strict enough, he'll remove the one thing that causes success and breakthrough, which is a very dangerous way to be. And there's actually a better way. There's a better way that leads to opportunity, that leads to a better life. I call it free play, life on free play. I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. But first, I'll show you why monk mode doesn't work. Why monk mode is actually a little bit of a scam, in my opinion. The reason why is because success is not a one-size-fits-all formula. Success is merely a spark that requires oxygen to ignite, like this fire, the fire of success that I've illustrated for you. Now, monk mode is the equivalent of trying to make this fire of success by sitting in your room and rubbing two sticks together. And we all know, we've seen it enough times, that if you do that for long enough, you will make fire. It's not to say elements of monk mode don't work. They do. But you're essentially rubbing those sticks together when you could just walk downstairs and there's a lighter that you could use to light that fire much quicker without all the pain and toil of rubbing sticks together. That's essentially the concept we're getting to here. Because success is not just discipline, money, and business stats. Success is across the board. It is love, financial success, character, stories, friendship, joy, adventure. That's real success across the board. And monk mode can take parts of that away, parts that are essential to having the breakthroughs necessary in life. So let me introduce you to the monk mode myth. The monk mode myth is that isolation, discipline is religion, that you worship discipline and this isolation, focus and grind. These things can be good on their own, but we need balance and moderation in our lives, because when we focus too hard on the monk mode, we are missing out on God's plan, networking, luck, travel, love, connection. We cut ourselves off from the essential ingredients to success. They stay behind a locked door. Monk mode assumes that you know what you're doing. Monk mode assumes that you've got the right vehicle, that you've actually found the thing that's going to make you a success. The problem is most people have not found that. God's plan is bigger than your own. And I'm going to illustrate this to you perfectly in a second. If you sit down and you work on monk mode, assuming you've got all the answers and you just need to work harder, often you don't actually have the right ingredients. So you end up burnt out after a monk mode, thinking, well, I didn't really make that much progress. I didn't live very well, and I don't feel very good, which is a problem a lot of guys run into. They're on this monk mode and it drives them insane. Obviously, it drives you insane because it's not balanced. It's not a balanced existence or a balanced life. The secret source of success, where all success comes from, is secret source, God's plan. If you sit in your room and you are on monk mode, on the idea that you have or the thing that you want to work on, going over and over it again, but God's plan was far bigger for you than that, and he has all these opportunities outside for you to find and stumble into that will change your life, but you're so focused on monk mode that you have a closed mind to those opportunities. And that's because success actually, it's not as simple as sitting in a room, locking yourself away, meditation and being a monk. As much of those things can be good in moderation. Success is character, experience, elements of luck, preparation and discipline. Monk mode is basically discipline and preparation. It's over the top, discipline and preparation over and over again, but it removes the aspects, the key aspects, the secret source in God's plan of luck, character, and experience. Because the secret source to success is the things you don't see coming, the things that you didn't think about, the intangibles, meeting somebody important, falling in love, an adventure that leads to an idea, a conversation with a friend that changes your worldview, doing 10 grams of mushrooms on the island of Koh Phangan in Thailand. Not recommending that. Look into that sort of stuff before you do any of it. But when I got to Thailand, I wasn't locked in on a monk mode. I worked hard, and I'll run you through my system for working hard, but I also lived. And living allowed me to grow my character, allowed me to grow who I was, allowed me to be open to opportunity, allowed me to change the way I think. I was open to doing 10 grams of mushrooms with a random guy. Terrible idea in hindsight, but sometimes I throw caution to the wind and I just live. And this unlocked part of my mind. This unlocked a lot of things that have been holding me back, things I wouldn't find, sat in a room bashing my head against the wall, trying to work on something. Why? Because God's plan was greater for me. I thought I'd found my vehicle, but I was still open to other ideas. When I first got to Thailand, here's me, in pretty good shape. I had a fitness business. I was running online personal training. That's me working away on this. If I had gone into a monk mode at this point, if I'd dialed in, not gone for any of the adventures in Thailand, not met any new people, I probably could have grown this business to 10 grand a month. I probably could have grown it more than I did. I was doing about 2K per month at this point in this business. And if I had locked myself in, not met anyone, I maybe could have scaled it to that area. The problem was I didn't want to run a fitness business. I found fitness simple. I thought there was more to life than that. I wanted something bigger. And so I approached life with an open mind. And God's plan was far greater. And I'd done the work. I was doing some disciplined work every day. I was doing the simple things, the things that I'll tie into in a minute. It's a lifestyle. It doesn't need to be a monk mode. There's a certain way you should live 80% of the time and a certain way you should live 20% of the time. It doesn't need to be this crazy intense period. It needs to be a lifestyle. So I'd done the work. I'd done the training. I'd done elements of the monk mode. I'd done the not drinking alcohol every day, but still occasionally drinking. I'd done the not smoking weed every day, but occasionally smoking. And I'd done the not doing mushrooms every day, but occasionally doing it. And because of this, because of who I'd become from elements of discipline, from putting myself in the right place at the right time, I stumbled across an opportunity. I would go to the gym every day. I would put my health and fitness first. Even if I had business tasks, I'd always make sure I was available for the gym. And if I met anyone interesting, I'd give them the time of day, go for coffee. And I met Hamza. I'd never seen his videos before. I met Hamza in the gym. Bill, actually, my business partner, who I also met on these adventures, said to me, "Oh, that's Hamza, he does YouTube." And we said hello to him in the gym. And that was the catalyst for a massive change in my life. That was God's plan. That was a divine intervention. And Hamza really just told me one thing. He said, he showed me proof that YouTube works. And he told me to post every day in my life and just made it very simple for me. And I said, all right, you're doing it. It seems to work for you. I'll do it. I'd never done YouTube before when I was trying to run a fitness business. But I started doing this content, not solely on fitness, but about lifestyle on YouTube. And lo and behold, it blew up. And the reason why is because I was available for opportunity. I was available to go and hang out with Hamza. I was available to go on adventures with him, to waterfalls and this sort of stuff. Even though I should have been at home grinding, closing clients because I didn't have a lot of money. But I said no to that. I said no to them. We had fun. There's also elements of this. We drank together. We had a few beers together. Like, there's elements of this that were things that you shouldn't do on monk mode, but actually can build connection with another human being, that can put you in a different realm of success. This launched me from being stuck at 2K in this business, a business that I didn't really like fulfilling on. I didn't like coaching on fitness every day for a couple $100 a month. It was draining, time consuming. And I made an info product business within a month or two of starting probably a month of starting my YouTube and getting traffic. I made an info business that was making me 10K a month. And I was living. I was making the most money that I'd ever made, and I was having the most fun. And it kind of showed me at that time, wow, if I was really dialed in on a monk mode, I would have had no space for that plan to develop, no space for that to come through in my life. So how should we live? Because there are elements of monk mode that we should keep, but there are also elements that we really need to consider, the non-tangibles of success that are very essential when you're young, because you need to gain experience, you need to become a new person. And if we close ourselves away in a room, although periods of solitary confinement can be good for you as a man, we also need to go out and find some opportunity. We need to let opportunity come and find us. So I do an 80-20 split. Free mode and monk mode mixed together. I live with a degree of balance. 80% of the time I live dialed in, I live disciplined. I don't call it a monk mode, this is just how you should live. You shouldn't be smoking weed every day, you shouldn't be playing video games, you shouldn't be scrolling, you shouldn't be watching porn, you shouldn't be wanking, you should be training regularly, you should be eating a healthy diet. Like, these are standard, easy things to do. This is not a monk mode, this is how you should live your life 80% of the time. You do that, you're way ahead of the game. So just get that in your head. This is how I live 80% of the time. Now, 20% of the time, we need to leave some space for luck. We need to leave some space for God's plan. We need to leave some space for play, to allow ourselves to open our minds to opportunities we haven't thought of yet. And these can be things like going out, traveling an adventure, saying hello to a random person, having a drink, a bottle of wine with a random person. Don't drink all the time, obviously, but once a month, you meet a great person, you have a bottle of wine together, ideas can come from that. It can lead you to a place you wouldn't have gone. Be open and available to the gifts of life. That's one thing I think is most damaging about monk mode, is that you cut off all your options. You cut off the beauty of life and the spontaneity of life that can take you where you want to go, because God's plan is so much bigger than your own. My plan when I went to Thailand was to run a 10K a month fitness business. We do $160,000 a month now. I've traveled all over the world. Like, my life's changed massively. I never thought I could have an audience. I never thought any of this. God's plan was greater, but I was willing to take the chances and go down that path. But in a monk mode, if you're too disciplined, you're leaving all those opportunities on the table. Perhaps the thing you're doing right now is not the thing that's going to get you there. Most likely it's not the thing, and it's important to do. So how I would do it is I spend 3 to 4 hours a day working on my current project. We can't just piddle about, running through the world, looking for opportunities all the time. We have to do some work and some discipline on the things that are working for us now, and try and grow those how we can, and then just leave space for these other things to come in with an open mind. So 3 to 4 hours a day I'd spend working on that fitness business, or I'd spend doing the actions in my current daily life now, and getting to the gym and looking after my health and eating right things. But then what I do is, at the back end of the day or on weekends, I'd leave space for adventure. I leave space for new ideas and a new way of thinking. And that works very well for me. So don't stop what you're doing. Just minimize the monk mode. Work harder and faster in those 3 to 4 hours, and go and live and enjoy your life. Get some experiences. Do some crazy things. Have some stories to tell. Meet some new people. That's what success comes down to. Monk mode can cause you to do more of the same. Sometimes you don't need the same. You need different. And so to conclude this video, I've got a few rules that I try to live by 80% of the time, or as much as I can. Your focus should be to build a life worth living, full of stories, adventure, and energy. Look at your life as if you were writing a book or a movie, and make it fucking interesting, because that wins in this day and age. In a day and age where half the people have no social skills, they don't ever meet anyone, they've got no story to tell, they've never been punched in the face, they've never been robbed, they've never had an incident of any kind because they're wrapped in cotton wool. Be the man that has some stories. It's attractive. And being bold brings success. Being bold brings you the opportunities in your life. Also, think of good habits as a lifestyle. Not a program like monk modes, a certain amount of time you spend dialed in and then you let it all go. Think of good habits as an 80% lifestyle, so you can manage it. Think of it just like, this is the way I live. It's just normal for me now to live majority healthy. And then also let yourself have some time for adventure. Be open to gifts from the universe. Understand that sometimes you need somebody else. So one person can say one thing to you that changes the rest of your life. Hamza said one thing to me. It wasn't complex. It was just him showing proof of YouTube and saying, post a video every day. That was all it took, because I was open to guidance. I was open to doing something different or trying something out. That's what a lot of these programs, masterminds, when you get around people, that's what they really offer. They offer that one piece of insight, that one person that changes your worldview and your thinking. And you need to be open to that. You can find it in the gym, in a coffee shop, online. You can find it in a course, a mentorship. We've got a couple spaces left for our personal branding one-to-one Miami mastermind. DM me Miami on Instagram. Load of high-level guys getting together and building their personal brands, their brand structure over 3 days. 90% sold out on that. Shoot me a DM. We might still have places. Also, have faith in God's plan, whatever God you believe in, whatever religion you are. Have faith in God's plan. Understand that you will not know everything. Do what you can now and be open to opportunity. Have faith that God wants you to succeed, because he does. He wants you to have a good life. He doesn't want you to suffer. He wants you to have a good life and be a good person. And so have faith in God's plan, that it is most likely far bigger than your own, than what you could ever imagine for yourself. And have faith in that in the actions that you do. Go out and find opportunity and play with the world. And this ties into my sixth point, practice thinking outside of the box. A lot of us get trapped in thought patterns, ways of thinking. That's why mushrooms, I think, was very beneficial for me. I'll do them again soon, and I'll do a video on it as a therapeutic setting. Just caveat to that, it's very powerful stuff. So do it with guidance, do it in the right setting. I'm not endorsing this for fun or play. It's powerful stuff. But I remember, even though I did it in the wrong setting and probably very riskily, when I did the first massive dose of mushrooms I did, it rewired the way my brain thought, and I could think outside of the box. You need to learn to do that. Look at what everybody else is doing that isn't working, and find the few people that are unique, and find their concepts that are unique and double down on them. Find your own unique ways of doing things. Opportunity is everywhere if you learn to see it, if you learn to find it. You could walk past people every day that change your life, but your mind's just not wired to speak to that person or see that thing. That's why it's very important that we spend 20% of our life going outside, finding opportunity and having play, and being open to luck and chance that happen when we're brave and bold in the actions in our life. Optimize life for experience. Optimize life for stories. Take the risk. Go to the place. Do the thing. Date the girl. Drink a bottle of wine on Tuesday night. Every now and again. Not every Tuesday. All right? Be sensible. I can't tell you how many times that I've just sort of thrown caution to the wind and ended up with some incredible stories, and some of them very dangerous and have put me in great danger, but shaped who I was as a person, or the times I've fallen in love or had my heart broken that gave me fuel for the fire or an idea. That's life. That's living. That's what you want. You want to end up just a bag of experiences at the end, stories to tell and wisdom gained. Our lives were not meant to sit behind computers for 8 hours a day, monk moding all through the year. Like, I really want to make the point to you that I've enjoyed every aspect of my life, even in the times when I was preparing to go to Thailand. I wasn't drinking, I was training hard, but I'd find time to go out on dates. I'd find time to go out with my friends. I wasn't drinking alcohol, but I've always made space for life. I've enjoyed my life so much, and run a 7-figure business and made more money than I ever thought possible, and built an audience and actually helped people. And at the same time, I've had incredible experiences and I've lived a full life. So don't let people tell you that you have to lock yourself away for 10 years. You need consistent daily action. You need 3 or 4 hours of consistent work and development on yourself, and an 80% life of discipline. And that 20%, go and have some fucking fun. Go and get some stories together that you can tell your grandkids and your kids when you're older. That's what life is. Any second we can be taken from this earth. Be good most of the time, but sometimes imagine you die tomorrow and live that way. Very important. Also, this one's pretty heavy. This is a sort of a spiritual one. Become in tune with what your soul wants and do not bully yourself. My soul, whenever I've tried to do an extended monk mode, I do like 2 weeks, whatever, of just dialed in, grinding. Even you think about it, like you sit in a room and I make content, these videos, imagine I do them every single day for you. And at the end of those 2 weeks, I've run out of ideas. Why? Because I haven't gone and lived. There's no inspiration. It's 2 sides of the coin. You're not a machine. You're not a machine that sit down and you bully to work. You have a soul. What you want is that soul working in harmony with you. You want that soul giving you inspiration and ideas. You want to nourish that soul. You want to let that come through. That's where big success comes from. You don't want to treat yourself like a machine, because you don't have to. There's far more impactful and powerful ways to become successful in this day and age. So, there you go, lads. to finish it off, fuck monk mode. There's aspects of it that are good, but you need to live with some balance. Hopefully that saves some of you from bullying yourself into these corners where you might have an amazing idea sitting on your doorstep, but you never go and find it because you think you've got to sit inside. So there you go. Let me know your opinion in the comments. What do you think of monk mode? It's been an absolute pleasure, lads. And I'll see you on the next one.